When you watch the best men and women in the world, you're gonna notice that they start to shift their weight and turn their body a whole lot. And by the time their lead arm gets to about parallel to the ground, all the way up to about shoulder height or so, is when the body turn is gonna start to slow down. This is where a lot of golf instructors will call it the recentering process, but this is where we start to actually get our weight shifting back over to our lead side. And so many players out there kind of have that question in their brain. And I've seen some pretty large outfits, some pretty big instructional outlets that are telling you that it's a good idea for you to start shifting your weight when your hands get outside your trail thigh. And I can assure you this right now, nobody watching this video should be shifting their weight when their hands are getting outside the trail thigh. You need to make sure that the backswing gets loaded up by creating good weight shift and good body turn. You need to create good restriction, and then you need to allow the hand and arm functions that you brought to the table early on in the swing shape to start to happen more naturally so that you can finish off the business and have a better backswing once and for all. Now, if you've battled with that term arm overrun, if you've battled with a golf swing where you look kind of like you're in reverse pivot, you've battled with a golf swing that just feels like you're working way too hard and not producing a lot of really good sort of efficient clubhead speed, then pay close attention because I'm going to show you how to fix this here today.
Oh yeah, and as always, if you're brand new to the channel, and I know there's a lot of you out there that are watching our videos right now that have not yet taken a moment to subscribe to the channel, if you could do me a big favor, head down below, hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps me out tremendously. And leave us a like. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post that up below, and we'll help you out as best we possibly can. Now, I'm going to get out of your face, and let's get to work.
In the world of fancy terminology, we're going to talk about protraction, shoulder protraction, and shoulder retraction. Protraction is where the shoulder is going to get rounded forward, right? So protraction is kind of what we call the boxer's move. And retraction is where the shoulder blade gets kind of pulled back. Now, retraction and protraction is actually something that's going to happen at the tail end of the backswing. And it can be a great way for you to actually finish off your body turn, but also get some different load going through the smaller muscles in the golf swing. You want to load the big muscles up first and let the smaller muscles have some reaction to those movements. If you start your golf swing out by taking your lead arm and your lead shoulder and push it across your center, then what you don't see is what's going on inside the body. What's actually happening is your lead shoulder girdle is starting to get loaded up really tight. And what happens is that it's just like any other muscle group. It's not going to want you to go any further. It's at full capacity. It wants you to start firing and go in the other direction. What you do now, because that lead shoulder girdle is already loaded up, is you start forcing your trail side to become very unstable. The lower body becomes unstable by allowing the right hip to rotate too far back. The left leg kicks in late, and that's why the arms don't have a speed limit to them. Where playing professionals, or even the best amateurs in the world, do it the exact opposite way. They get the big muscles loaded up first and allow the small muscle contraction to happen late in the swing. And what we're going to do here in step number one is we're going to start out by creating some unrestricted turn first, and then we're going to start creating some restriction to that turn and getting kind of a rough estimate of where our arms are going to land when we're going to start to finish off with a little bit of protraction and retraction. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to grab your favorite 7-iron out of your bag or out of your closet or wherever you have it, and I want you to flip it upside down. And I want you to take your setup, and I want you to make sure that the lead side of your body, so your lead shoulder, your lead arm, your lead hip, your lead leg, are all very relaxed. And I want you just to keep both arms kind of hanging down straight and relaxed here. And I just want you to make sure that you can kind of feel your feet shuffling around. I want you to push down in your trail ankle, and I want you to turn your rib cage as much as you possibly can. So I want you to turn your belt buckle, your sternum. I want you to turn as much as you feel like you're capable of turning. And I want you to do this for about 10 to 15 reps or so. You can allow your lead foot to kind of come up off the ground like I am. But I want you just to make sure that you create some awareness of your core. If you don't have awareness of your core, then make sure you're trying to hold your head pretty quiet after you make that little shift. You'll start to feel those big muscles starting to come to light. So a little shift, turn your core. Okay? Now, the key here is to understand if you create restriction in the left shoulder, the left hip, or the left leg, is that now you're actually making it impossible for the right side of your body to want to rotate. If you have the connection to those two things, now what we want to do is start creating the restriction and start getting kind of an idea of where this rep is gonna start to finish off so that I can move you into step number 2. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna focus in on our trail leg. And we're gonna make sure that when we shift into our trail side and we start to turn our body, we're gonna try to keep this trail leg flexed and facing forward. And a lot of you are gonna feel very restricted. You're gonna feel like you're making half of a backswing. Why? Well, because there's a pretty good chance that you will be making half of a backswing. So let's go ahead and test this out. So lead side of my body is nice and relaxed. I'm gonna make a little shift over to my trail side. And now as I do that, I'm gonna keep my weight underneath my trail ankle and I'm just gonna turn, keeping my trail leg flexed and facing forward as much as I possibly can. And what I want you to notice is, where did my arm stop? Well, it stopped about lead arm parallel to the ground. And if you look at my body turn when I do this, okay, it's pretty close to 90 degrees. Not fully to 90 degrees, but it's pretty close. Now, for those of you that remember some of the content that I put out early on this channel or on the website, you know that I did a drill called the 30-60-90 drill. And the 30-60-90 drill was just basically a way for you to encompass the golf swing or the length of the backswing by thinking about it as the takeaway being 30%, lead arm parallel being 60%, and then as your hands and arms start to reach above shoulder height, that's your 90% mark. Now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna add in the width component and the last little bit of arm function in step number 2. But what we basically see here is that we're at to that 60% mark by doing nothing with our hands and arms. We did nothing with our hands and arms, and we turned our body and got everything into a pretty decent looking spot. So now what I want you to do is I want you to grab the golf club and I want you to flip it back the right way. And I want you to do those same reps, okay? So arms and shoulders nice and relaxed, okay? Lead side of my body is nice and relaxed. I'm gonna turn, keeping my trail leg flexed and facing forward. Now, if I take my right shoulder blade and I pull it down and towards my spine, trying to keep my trail leg flexed, and I try to move my hands above my trail shoulder and try to feel as wide as I possibly can, that's what the backswing should feel like. Is that I should feel like I'm pulling that right shoulder back and trying to stay as wide as I can. And now you've got a position that actually looks like a full backswing. So here's how it's gonna look. We're gonna do another 10 to 15 reps. So we're gonna shift our weight, keep our trail leg flexed, pull that shoulder blade down and back towards your spine, and feel like your hands just reach up above the trail shoulder. That little bit of stretch there makes it look like a full backswing, because it is. Now the beauty of this is that movement right there is gonna be consolidated down. You don't actually have to think about making the little bit of flexion in your right arm because it's naturally gonna wanna happen. Your job is just to feel like you're staying as wide as you possibly can, and you're trying to feel your hands reach up to that 90% mark. So to do it right, you need to make sure that your shoulders and your arms are really chill. You're just gonna feel like you're pulling the right shoulder blade back and trying to feel the hands go up above that trail shoulder. If you can do that and you feel pretty connected to these movements, then step 3 becomes a piece of cake. Well, to a certain degree. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. What we're gonna do in step 3 is now we're gonna start turning this into a real golf swing. And as we start to move our hands and arms up to the right shoulder, or my trail shoulder here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feel like I stay wide and I'm gonna start shifting left. And I'm gonna start practicing this stuff so you can kind of follow along on how I want you to feel it. And you'll know in the first few reps here if this is something you can feel and you can continue on with. Not every drill that lives on the internet is a drill that you should be working on at this current moment in your golf swing. Like I said in the opener, if you're battling with moving in the wrong order, you have a golf swing that's too long and out of control, then this drill will help you solve that, but just stay connected to it and don't move through it too fast. Okay, so let's go ahead and take our setup, and I'm gonna go slow at first and show you how to practice it. So shift and turn. Okay, now I'm gonna reach back and I'm gonna shift left. Okay, I'm gonna get all my weight sitting down on my left side. I'm gonna try to link all this together as I get proficient. So I'm trying to feel wide, trying to feel like my arms are staying up there, and I'm shifting all my weight left. Now I'm gonna start trying to make some swings through it. Okay, definitely feels powerful, feels wide. Okay, it feels pretty fast. Got some good connection to it. I'm just gonna keep repping it out here for a couple minutes. Okay. All right, I'm gonna just go ahead and give it a test now since I'm hitting it. I'm feeling pretty connected to it. The key here is not to overthink this. It's to get connected to the body turn, pulling the right shoulder back and staying wide. As you start to finish that wide sort of sensation off, start moving your body left, and then start adding the fluidity back to it. And you're gonna find that now you've got a backswing that's gonna cooperate with your downswing. It's gonna feel short, it's gonna feel tight, it's gonna feel like something you've never felt before. But that's a good thing when it comes to swing change. We're trying to get 1% better every time we practice. Take your time, follow a good protocol, get connected to the movements. Okay, once you're connected to it, hit some shots and have some fun. Start out small, unrestricted weight shift and body turn, getting yourself to get that core engagement, then start creating the restriction by bracing into that trail leg. Keep that trail leg flexed and facing forward. It's okay to have restricted hips in the golf swing. It's gonna help you create good separation. Then once you feel that, then start adding in the shoulder blade pulling back in behind your head at the tail end of it. If you keep the shoulders and arms relaxed, and you feel like you're just kind of staying wide with the arms, then you're gonna see that you have a wider backswing, and you're gonna see that you have a full body turn to boot that's moving in the right sequence. Then what I want you to do is start adding in the dynamic movement, add in the weight shift to it. If you can feel this, like I said, you're gonna know pretty quickly, and you'll be able to go out there and you'll be able to start hitting some better shots that are much more powerful